Alright everybody, it's Adam L. coming to you again with another video today. Today we're going to be talking about silver stacking. Now there's millions of videos on silver stacking, and I've watched most of them, and but what I want to talk about today is some stuff that isn't covered by some of those other videos. Now I'm going to assume if you found this one that you have at least a passing interest in silver stacking and precious metal and so forth, so I'm not going to bore you with all the fundamentals of silver as we know it, but what I do want to talk about is why silver is important. Why is it something that you should consider for your investment portfolio? Well, just to start with, there are as many philosophies with regard to stacking as there are people who do it. You know what I mean? But I'll give you mine real quick. There are generally, in my estimation, a couple of different camps. There's the doomsday prepper types, and you know, they're all about rounds, and they're like, okay, we have to amass as many absolute ounces of silver as we possibly can for as inexpensive a price as we can possibly come up with, and there's nothing wrong with that. And so that's one end of the spectrum. At the other end of the spectrum are the true coin collectors who they concern themselves with the numismatic and collectible value of particular coins, limited mintages, and amassing complete collections of this, that, and the other thing. That really, honestly, does not interest me a great deal. But that's the other end of the spectrum. I would say most of us fall somewhere in between, and I tend to be more towards the first end of the group because I'm, of course, interested in stacking ounces of silver, but at the same time, I have criteria for what it is I purchase. Now, the thing about silver that isn't mentioned often enough is that it is money. Now, there is a difference between money and currency, and it's an important distinction to know. Silver is, and gold too, obviously, are globally recognized as stores of value. They are true money in and of themselves, and there's nowhere on planet Earth that you can't go and use silver and redeem it for local currency, or anything you want to do. But it is globally recognized. That's important. Okay. By comparison, this is not money. This is currency. This is a medium of exchange that represents something else. All right, in other words, is this piece of paper here, is this really seriously worth $10? No, of course not. It's a piece of paper. A piece of paper is worth next to nothing, but it represents value. Okay, and it is, of course, backed by the full faith and credit of the United States. We can argue about how much faith and credit you want to give the United States. Okay, but silver is actual money. It is the real thing, and that's why it's an important distinction to make. And so anyway, what do I buy and why do I buy it? Well, I buy silver because obviously, I mean, a lot of folks think that given the spot price right now, that silver is a good investment. It's relatively inexpensive currently, and we've seen twice the current spot price, within the last 2 years. So people are saying, okay, well, yeah, it could double in price. It may not, but I don't buy it because I think I want to resell it at some time in the future. I buy silver because I wanted to divest myself of these, American fiat dollars. And the problem with dollars is, our currency is devalued 24 hours a day, every day. Because of fractional banking, which is basically creating money on a computer with a couple of keystrokes, every new dollar that is created devalues the dollar in your pocket. That is an absolute fact. So, which is a fancy way of saying if you keep a whole bunch of cash in a savings account at 2%, what that guarantees is that you are, in effect, losing money every year. Losing purchasing power, because the rate of inflation, when combined with the devaluation of the dollar, exceeds that 2% that you might be earning on the cash that's in your savings account. So in other words, your purchasing power of the money in your savings account is absolutely 100% guaranteed to be less every year. Now, by comparison, the purchasing power of silver has changed very, very little in the last 100 years or so. I mean, in other words, there was a time when, an ounce of silver like this could get you, I don't know, 4 gallons of gasoline, a gallon of milk, and a loaf of bread, for instance. Okay? Well, that same 1 ounce of silver today will still get you 4 gallons of gas, a gallon of milk, and a loaf of bread, for instance. In other words, the purchasing power of silver has not changed appreciably in 100 years, probably more. And that's why I don't think it will ever lose value. Now, that being said, people have asked, just what do you buy and why? Well, I buy 1 ounce everything. I buy 1 ounce rounds like this. I believe this is a Silvertown. Buffalo, it's called. So you got the Indian head and the buffalo on the other side. These are generic rounds. They're not made by any government or anything like that. They're just 1 ounces of silver. Okay, by comparison, I just have a quick Austrian Philharmonic here, and this is minted in Austria. Oops, you know what I mean? And priced in euros, but this is minted by the government of Austria. So its metal content and purity is guaranteed by that government. Now, I like rounds and I like coins, but I generally only buy them in 1 ounce denominations. Reason being is unlike cash money, I can just foresee a time when it'd be easier to conduct business with 1 ounce versus like a 5 ounce or 10 ounce bar of silver. Now, the reason we have $10 bills is because sometimes $10 is easier to carry around than 10 $1 bills, for instance. Okay, but when it comes to silver, remember, a 10 ounce silver bar is exactly as big as 10 1 ounce bars. So there's no real, advantage, in my opinion, to having the larger solid bars. But as the case may be, so I just tend to buy 1 ounce everything. It's simple, and I always shop the bargain bins of the various metal houses online. So, like for instance, I got from JM Bullion. These are my Austrian Philharmonics, and one thing I've noticed about JM is when you buy from them, if you buy at least 10 ounces, they ship a tube with it, which is kind of nice. So I keep my stuff, stored. I put it in little desiccant packs in there just to keep moisture out and so forth. And I label them, and as stuff goes on sale, maybe I'll buy more and I'll finish this tube up. And same thing with the Buffalo rounds. I just keep them in a tube. It's important to take care of your silver. Reason being is, like I said earlier, I don't plan on ever reselling the silver and converting back to dollars. That's not why I bought it. But what I can envision at some point in my life, potentially, is using silver as currency, using silver to buy stuff. So as such, if I need to buy a pair of boots or a car battery or something like that during a rainy decade sometime down the road, I want my silver to be in as good a condition as I can have it. Because remember, in sales, what you're trying to do is convince somebody to give you something in exchange for your silver. Now, if you have a ratty round that's been, in your pocket with your keys and it's all scratched up and bitched up, my nice shiny rounds are probably more likely what the merchant will accept. So condition does matter. But when it comes to overall philosophy of buying, I have 3 rules. Number 1, I don't overspend on stuff. I always look for the sale deals at JM, and I like Provident Metals as well, particularly because not only do they have good pricing, but they include shipping if your price is over $99. That's Provident. JM Bullion, everything is free shipping. So when you're comparing prices from site to site, make sure you account for shipping as well. So my general rule is I don't spend any more than $1 over spot for a round, generally. Okay, and I try not to spend any more than $2 over spot for a coin. And like I said, those are not super hard fast rules, but there are always deals to be had out there. And I don't, like I said, I don't collect, so I don't care about mintages and collections, and so I don't buy Chinese pandas, and I don't buy kooks and other coins that are minted by governments that change every year, and I don't care about complete sets. I just don't. So, like I said, first rule, don't overspend. However, that said, my other rule, buy stuff that you like. Buy stuff that you're interested in. So if something comes out and it's pretty cool and you want to pick it up, absolutely, by all means do it. There are 2 coins that I'd like to pick up now. I'd like to pick up a 2017 Silver Krugerrand, just to have, just because I'd like one. And I'd also like maybe one of those Pamp Suisse 1-ounce bars. I think that'd be kind of cool with the snake on it, because they're interesting. Okay, and admittedly, yeah, you're going to pay a slightly higher premium, but the reality is, it's what makes the activity interesting that's going to get you to rule number 3, which is invest regularly. So if you're not investing regularly, you're not really investing. So, like I said, don't overspend. Buy stuff you like and do it regularly. And I think long-term we'll all benefit. And it gives you flexibility, too, because you've got a globally recognized store of value in the silver. You can resell it sometime down the road. You can use it as currency. You can do a great many things with it. And that's pretty much what I personally get out of silver stacking. I like it a lot. So I'm not a pro. I don't have millions of ounces yet, but who knows what the future will bring. We'll see. But in any event, thanks so much for watching, guys, and be good, and I'll see you at the range.